What famous person had the most undeserved fall from grace? Eartha Kitt. She spoke against the Vietnam War when asked about it by Lady Bird Johnson at a presidential luncheon. She was labeled a sadistic nymphomaniac by the CIA and blacklisted in Hollywood. Richard Jewell. Not exactly a celebrity but became famous when he was a security guard during a concert for the Atlanta Summer Olympics. Found a backpack full of explosives and alerted the police. They were able to clear almost everyone from the area before it went off. He saved many lives, and then the FBI decided he was the main suspect and ruined his life until eventually clearing him of any wrongdoing. Amanda Bynes? Really just needed help early, I think. Pee Wee Herman. Hay wasn't famous at the time, but Richard Jewell was wrongly accused of the 1996 Olympic bombing in Atlanta. He was later exonerated when Eric Rudolph pled guilty to the bombing. I'm from Atlanta and I remember Richard Jewell fave all over the news. Totally convicted guilt in the public eyes. Fatty Arbuckle always comes to mind. Short version. He was accused of raping an actress to death when she died at a party he attended. Odds are she actually died of an unrelated medical condition. There were witnesses at the time who confirmed he was innocent. It destroyed his career. He had friends who tried to give him some work in the industry who helped give him work here and there. But he lived maybe 10-12 more years and died in disgrace. Winona Ryder. She had a comeback with Stranger Things, but her career has never fully recovered to what it was in the 90s after her shoplifting scandal. The scandal is small potatoes compared to what a lot of other celebrities have done and gotten away with. Alan Turing. Oscar Wilde and all the other great minds that were arrested and vilified for being gay. George Michael really bore the brunt of 90s homophobia and didn't deserve it at all. I was a teenager at the time it came out he was gay and there was so much cruel mockery of him. I mean, the guy had his demons. But it also came out after he died how unusually generous and charitable he was. I didn't really get into his music until recently. But his story feels ripe for a biographical movie. Macaulay Culkin and most other child stars who end up not being able to handle the pressures of stardom. I'm glad he's doing well now. Billy Squier. He was massively popular in the 80s until he released a music video where he acted and danced very feminine and flamboyantly. The video for Rock Me Tonight destroyed his career. I hear Janet Jackson had a very undeserved fall from grace, if you can even call it that. I didn't really think it was a big deal as far as I'm aware of the reason for it. Howard Dean getting a little too excited on the mic. Sinead O'Connor pointed out the Catholic Church is full of pedophiles and had her career destroyed. Billie Holiday. Her fall from grace was engineered and executed by the FBI because they felt that her song Strange Fruit could stir an uprising among black people. When she refused to stop singing it, they conspired to destroy her, eventually leading to her death. Alan Turing. Phil Donahue. He was fired from MSNBC for being against the Iraq War. He was Oprah before there was Oprah, and his show was a lot more intelligent than hers ever was. Not sure how much the firing or his views affected the public's view of him, but it was undeserved. Gary Webb. Dude wrote a story about CIA involvement in Contra cocaine smuggling. Got his life destroyed in every possible way, culminating in his suicide. Later investigation confirmed the bulk of the story and found that he had, if anything, understated the case. Brendan Fraser. Brittany. My God. My wife just finished the book and told me all the details. That woman had everything and her only fault was being born into a horrible and greedy family. Brendan Fraser. He got blacklisted for exposing that he was sexually assaulted by some Hollywood bigwig. T-Pain people turned on him. Before the autotune sound was revived and made almost a genre of itself. Eartha Kitt. Reminiscent of the Dixie Chicks. She spoke out against the Vietnam War and was summarily blacklisted for decades until she came back. Much later in her career with such roles as Isma from The Emperor's New Groove. Richard Gere and the Fake Gerbil Story. Hedy Lamarr, who never was allowed to get credit for her frequency-hopping invention in World War LL. She was female, beautiful and cast as a sex symbol. No one wanted to give her credit for being brilliant to boot. Monica Lewinsky. It sucks for Macklemore that winning a Grammy hindered his career rather than helped it. Not like he voted for himself. Vanessa Williams. Brendan Fraser. Man did nothing wrong and he fell out of the public eye. Then people started criticizing him for his weight. Glad he's starting to get the recognition he deserves. The Dixie Chicks. One of the best acts in country music, but had the audacity to share the opinion that checks notes. The war in Iraq was wrong. Which of course being in the country scene meant a death sentence for their careers. It's been pointed out to me that they were able to bounce back eventually. Which is very cool. Janet Jackson. One boob and you'd think she killed someone. Nikola Tesla. Anne Boleyn. Marie Antoinette. Al Franken. He stepped down when shit started getting intense. Meanwhile, George Santos is still a sitting member of Congress. So is Matt Gaetz. Jesus Christ, dude was crucified. IDK if it's a fall from grace, but Courtney Love got all kinds of hate for shouting from the red carpet to stay away from Harvey Weinstein years before his moment arrived. Al Gore. He got thoroughly lambasted for his early support of climate change, including getting lampooned on South Park with Man Bear Pig. Obviously his reputation has recovered since then, but at the time he definitely had an undeserved fall in reputation. Howard Dean. Dude's political career ended for yelling while trying to rally his crowd of supporters after a defeat. I wish I was making this up. Sinead O'Connor. Senator Al Franken. Bud Dwyer. Sean Young. Thora Birch. And every other young actress who went from the next megastar to blacklisted because they became difficult to work with, meaning wouldn't fuck a producer. Anne Hathaway. That woman did nothing but act and sing and be graciously happy when she won awards. Glad she rebounded and people are now acknowledging how ridiculous the hating was. My girl Anna Nicole Smith. George Takei. He was enjoying a second act as a Twitter meme distributor. And doing pretty well. Broadway play about Japanese internment. Snarking at politicians. Doing pretty well. A guy comes forward. Says that Takei spiked his drink and took sexual advantage of him. Right-wingers who were tired of getting ratioed on Twitter try to blow him up. The full story comes out mystery dude probably just got really drunk. When Takei made a move, he said stop and Takei stopped. There was no drugging, no sexual assault, just a bad date that ended when the dude wanted it to end. Takei is still doing fine, but he took a pretty big hit. Alan Turing. Oscar Wilde. Guy got thrown in jail and it ruined him. Also Christopher Eccleston. He complained about bad behavior on set while filming Doctor Who and got effectively blacklisted by the BBC. Hugely talented guy. Brought back a classic show for a whole new generation of kids. I think his mental health wasn't great for a long time afterwards. Janet Jackson.